Chinese authorities eased anti-coronavirus rules in scattered areas but affirmed the country's stringent zero-COVID strategy Monday after crowds demanded President Xi Jinping's resignation during protests against restrictions that confine millions of people to their homes. The government made no comment on the protests or criticism of Xi, but the decision to ease at least some of the restrictions appeared to be aimed at quelling anger. Still, analysts don't expect the government to back down on its COVID strategy and note that authorities are adept at stifling dissent. It wasn't clear how many people were detained since protests began Friday and spread to cities including Shanghai, the country's financial center, and the capital, Beijing. The city government of Beijing announced Monday that it would no longer set up gates to block access to apartment compounds where infections are found. It made no mention of a deadly fire in northwest China last week that set off the protests by raising angry questions online about whether firefighters or victims trying to escape were blocked by locked doors or other coronavirus controls. Passages must remain clear for medical transportation, Emmer. In addition, the southern manufacturing and trade metropolis of Guangzhou, the biggest hotspot in China's latest wave of infections, announced that some residents would no longer be required to undergo mass testing. It cited a need to conserve resources. Urumqi, where the deadly fire occurred, and another city in the Xinjiang region in the northwest announced that markets and other businesses in areas deemed at low risk of infection would reopen this week and that public bus service would resume. Zero COVID, which aims to isolate every infected But people in some areas have been confined at home for up to 4 months and say they lack reliable food supplies. The ruling party promised last month to reduce the disruption of its zero-tolerance policy by changing quarantine and other rules. But public acceptance is wearing thin after a spike in infections prompted cities to tighten controls, fueling complaints that overzealous enforcement is hurting the public.